it was a 13 megapixel sensor. Now, when this phone first came out, I remember hearing a lot about how good this camera was, and even now when I look at it, it's really not that bad of a camera. Of course, it could be better. I'm not trying to say this is the best camera ever, but this camera is actually not bad in this day and age. But flipping it to the flip side as well, this thing in 2013 was able to shoot 4K videos on the back of this camera, and I think that's a pretty big deal. I don't know if the Note 2, I don't think the Note 2 was able to do that, but this was 2013. We didn't even get 4K on an iPhone until about 2 years later on the iPhone 6s. So the fact that this phone had that capability at that time is pretty insane to me, and it's one of my favorite things about the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. However, on the front, you do have a 2 megapixel front facing camera. You were able to actually do 1080p video on the front of that, which is even crazier than that 4K on the back in my opinion. And I think it's an okay sensor on the front. I mean, it really isn't good. I think when it first came out it was alright, but I don't know. It's just like the Samsung was just never able to do front cameras that good. They've since kind of changed, and I think ever since about that Galaxy S10 era, they kind of improved it a lot. But I mean, take it as you will, but I think the back camera is surprisingly good, and I think the front camera is surprisingly good as well. I think they really focused more on the resolutions than anything else. If you're trying to use this camera on an everyday basis in 2020, you're probably going to be disappointed because no 4K at 60, no 4K at 60 on the front, but also on top of that, there really isn't any additional lenses either, and that's a pretty big deal. When you have a phone like this, you want it to be able to have the most amount of lenses and have the most amount of features. There's a ton of features in this camera, but there's not really a lot of lenses, so that kind of already takes an L. But in terms of that, that pretty much covers up the camera standpoint. Now